Welcome back to another video, everyone. Last week you saw us install our brand new ceiling. This week we have a bunch of little things that we need to do. We've done a few things without filming much because the weather was terrible. Now we have blue skies for the time being. It's a bit cold, but no problem. So we're gonna make use of this time to kind of run you through everything we did. The weather was so bad we had to get a lamp to use inside the van so we could work in the rain with all of the doors closed. It was not fun, and hopefully the weather stays nice and we can work without having to be stuck in the van and use this. We started building the structure for our bed. This is the bottom part of our structure. We're just holding it with boxes because the wood's a bit bowed. This is the top of one of our couches. We're basically going to connect them. We're not connecting this part because we're doing that when we put the structure into the van. We also got our water tank delivered. We got 150 liters. It can't actually be in this position. It has to lay down. So because there's a hole at the top that's not very secured. So this is going to go between our two bed structures that we built, this one and this one. And it's just going to create a step here. We used plywood to close in the little wall boxes. We've just cut the plywood pieces that we're going to use to wrap this willow box. For the top and for the back side, we went with 1 centimeter thick plywood because this is going to be where we're going to be housing some of our electrical components. And then for the front and this side, we went with 1/2 centimeter thick plywood, and this is just here to basically cover up the wheel well box. We're not actually going to attach anything to it. This is what it's going to look like when it's closed, but for now we're not going to attach this piece because we're going to put some electrical components on here and paint it, and then we're going to screw it in place. I'm going to use some wood filler to fill in all of the little gaps that we have on the box. And then I'm going to use our black paint that we used for the ceiling, and I'm just going to paint this whole thing black. We also replaced our terrible trimming that we had going on here at the back.
We're finally going to get rid of this awful trim.
It's absolutely disgusting. We tried using PVC and painting a white piece of PVC black to do the trimming here.
We're just going to use this texturized PVC black mat. That looks amazing. And we're also going to use this heavy-duty texturized aluminum trim over top of the mat.
It's going to be so disgusting. So
Very
much
bad
accumulated in there. That's why we're going to do the mat this time around. So we've put the mat down. This is what it looks like. Now I'm about to start just cutting into it. Don't mind this. This was a failed attempt last night. It was raining too much, so we stopped. But I'm going to start cutting it so that it adapts to the curves of the van, and hopefully that'll stop any condensation forming and just keep our garage very nice and just protect it.
Yeah, it looks good. Let's do it.
Now we have this amazing aluminium trim here. This is very durable. It's not going to go anywhere. And we also decided to use some of this PVC mat. It kind of looks like a garage floor, which is what we wanted to go for. And we extended it under the trim and all the way to our step so that we could keep our floor underneath here from getting wet or dirty from the elements. The plan for today is to put up this wall on the passenger side so that we can install the bed structure here. Before we do that, we also need to secure this floor because it's not glued down. And we also left this flap here so that we could glue it to the wheel well box and just keep it even more protected. We're using 5mm ply for the walls. Let's get on it.
So now that the main back wall is up, we already used cardboard to make a template for this small piece. We already drew it on the plywood, and now we're gonna cut it and install it. This is our cut piece. Hopefully it's gonna fit in properly. And
It looks nice?
that's looking amazing, look at that!
Great. We've put this tiny piece of wall up down here. We've just cut up this piece of plywood and it's going to fit in right here. And we've made a little hole into it so we can pass our cables for our light switch that's going to be on the side of the cupboard here. Today we're going to be securing the bed frame in place on the passenger side. For now, we're going to cut the mat to size because we kind of rolled it out bigger than we needed because we didn't really know where the bed frame was going to end. And then we're going to secure this in place. We're kind of like avoiding it and just talking about other things, but we need to do it. So let's do it.
So we just finished marking on the wall exactly where the bed frame is going to hit. Just going to add a bead of silicone all the way around just to make sure it's well secured.
Alright, we're in the dark, but there's some light. Woo! We're about to test our reading lights. I look like a mime, I just noticed. We've tested them individually, but we haven't tested them wired in.
So we're basically testing to see if our wiring inside the wall has any problems.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to put the wall up, and we want to make sure that it works before we put the wall up.
Let's do it.
It works. So we have this big piece of plywood right here. I'm using this as a pointer. So this big piece of plywood right here is what's going to go on this wall. So far, we've done a couple things to it. Here at the bottom, we've made a few holes for all of our cables to go through. So all of these cables that are coming out of the wall right now. And we've figured out the positioning for our reading lamps. We've drilled a small hole on each side for the cables to go through. On the spots where we're going to put our reading lamps, we reinforced the plywood with a 1 centimeter thick piece at the back because this plywood's only 5mm. Now that we've done all of this, we're going to attach our reading lamps to the plywood. The cables are going to go through, and then once those cables are through, we're going to do the connections on the wall so that we can close this up, and then we'll test it and make sure everything works. So these reading lamps, the way they're attached to the wall is this little piece on the top comes up and you have 2 holes to drill through.
Nice.
Nice.
Right, so this is the bed frame for the driver's side that we built upstairs. We also added this bottom part to the wall. We also completed the bed frame by adding this vertical beam and that horizontal beam. Next up, we're just going to put some silicone on the wall where the bed frame is going to touch.
By the way, our new reading lamps are looking nice.
Very slick.
We've like banged our head on them like a
So
few times.
Yeah.
And now we're going to put these massive 60mm screws on. So towards the end of this bed structure job, we stopped filming, or we lost some of the footage, so we don't really have much more to show you. But we added some supports on top of the structure so that we can then place some lids on top to access the storage within. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!